Welcome to Lotus Me Bloom podcast. This is your host, Madison Ansel, and this podcast is all about spirituality, self-development, things I've learned, and so much more. If you're into that stuff, then you found the right podcast. Hi everyone, welcome back to Lotus Me Bloom podcast. Today's episode is all about your intuition, knowing how to tap into your intuition. What is it? Some of my own experiences in my life and how I became more intuitive. And my dog is here. If you hear him moving around, he insists on being in today's episode. So I apologize for all the noises that he probably is going to make. And I've already recorded this intro a million times. So I also want to say I apologize for not uploading last week. I knew that this was going to be a challenge doing video and audio. It is more work for me to edit. And last week was really busy for me. I had a Mystic Fair to do, and then my sister moved into her new house. Well, she's moving into her new house, and we all had to help out last Sunday, and that's usually when I upload, so I do apologize. But I just thought it would be, another week to digest last week's episode, which was human design, which I feel like was really good and impactful. I had lots of people reach out to me about it, so I'm glad that it was helpful for you guys. Let me know if there's anything you guys want me to touch on. I would be happy to do that, because sometimes the issue is that I don't know what to talk about. And although I do specialize, it seems like, in spirituality and self-development, I like to have fun. I like to talk about things other than that. So I'm open to talking about quite anything. I don't know. I was thinking about even doing some things to look out for and maybe friends or people, like red flags, green flags, stuff like that. If you're interested, let me know. Anyways, I did get my hair done today. My makeup's a little messed up because anytime I get my hair done, they're taking half your makeup off. But I'm loving my hair. I got the best, awesomest, pleather pant today from my hairstylist. They have a boutique there. I'm obsessed because I'm trying to get some clothes for summer, and we're going on vacation next month, which pleather pants really isn't, vacation-y. It doesn't scream vacation, doesn't scream the beach, but it is my vibe and they're so comfortable. Absolutely obsessed with them, but I do need to go shopping. So I might be posting on my main channel of some clothes that I buy. If I buy any, we'll see. I just have so much clothes I need to go through. I would love to start these podcasts, just talking about my life, little update, good and bad stuff that I'm going through, anything like that. So just to give it a little bit more, me. Give a little bit more me. I don't want this podcast to just be me preaching and me talking about what you shouldn't do and so serious, because I'm not that as a person. I am to some extent. I love this shit. I love diving deep into the unconscious mind and, diving into things I've learned and how to better myself and how I can help you better your lives and all that stuff. But I am pretty goofy, and I just don't want it to be so serious. Okay, so let's dive straight into today's episode. We're going to go straight into what is intuition. It's an internal knowing with no conscious explanation behind why you know it. This is my teacher's explanation, but I also have my own explanation mixed into this. But it could just be a feeling, a knowing, or an impulse to do something. It could be a download or an inner voice telling you to go in a certain direction. It could be a surge of energy. For example, when I was starting this video podcast, how I decided to start doing video, I felt this excitement. I felt the surge of energy inside of me to do this. I would get excited when I'd watch other video podcasts, and I felt really good about taking my podcast in this direction. And your intuition is truly that simple. It's as simple as just knowing or feeling like you should do something different. Everyone has access to their intuition, but what people may struggle with is actually knowing what to do and to actually utilize their intuition because of life. Life is tough. There's struggles, there's distractions, there's always something going on, there's chaos. And it's hard for us to be centered and to hear that inner knowing or that inner voice telling us to take our life in a different direction or maybe make a different choice. So I'm going to be talking about how I personally tapped into my intuition and how you can too, because I totally understand that it can be difficult to quiet the mind and to get ourselves to a center place to actually know what we are supposed to do here in life. Or maybe it's the simple decision of, maybe I should just get a different job or whatever the case is. It's easier to make decisions when you're tapped into your intuition. So here's just a quick example of a time in my life where I completely and blindly followed my intuition while my ego was telling me like, what are you doing? This is not practical. This is not reasonable. All the things that our ego does to keep us safe. But our intuition is our highest knowing. It's going to take us into the direction that we're supposed to go because it knows what's best for us. I want to quickly say that intuition and being psychic is not quite the same thing. It is very similar, and it's a thin line is what I'm trying to say, but it is not the same thing. You can be very, very intuitive, but not psychic. Vice versa. Like, there's people that are psychic and know things, but like they don't know things for themselves. And not everything that social media portrays of a psychic is true. The basic psychic like tells the future. That's not quite it either. A psychic is just very tapped in, and it's not always about the future and, when you're gonna make $1 million, it's more of just seeing through different people and different situations at a deeper level, at a psychic, spiritual level, and to know what's best for someone and clearing things out of people's spaces. There's a lot that goes into it, but intuition is similar though. You can see signs, and seeing signs is like a surface level introduction to clairvoyance, which is psychic abilities. But I'm not going to get into that. I just wanted to quickly say, because some people be like, I'm very, very intuitive, and they do have psychic abilities. So if you do feel like you are very intuitive, there very well could be that you are very open to having more gifts. It's just like, it's the beginning of your psychic abilities. Everyone has psychic abilities. I truly believe so. It's just tapping more into it. So the more you tap into your intuition, that could be something for you. But also, I want to say for people that scares, don't be scared, because your intuition is just your knowing. It's knowing what to do with your own life. I feel when it comes to psychic abilities, it opens it up to more people and more helping other people versus just yourself. Even though I've used my own psychic abilities mostly for myself, but when I was, doing Reiki and all of that, I definitely used it for other people and helping them, guide them through their own stuff. So yeah, that's a tangent, but I just want to let you know, like, if that is something that scares you, it's not psychic woo-woo, okay? Your intuition is just that inner knowing, that gut feeling, that feeling that you should take your life in a different direction. It's like that download. If you ever heard anyone say, oh, I just got a download, that's what that is. It's like just being clear enough to hear what your higher self has to say. So an example in my own life, when I followed my intuition, it didn't make sense. I was scared. I was getting told like, you shouldn't do that. But no matter what I said to myself or what other people said, I knew that I had to do this, and it felt right. And I had this nudge, this pull that I needed to go. And that was when I went to a women's retreat in Sedona, Arizona in 2019. I was following this guy, Victor Odo, which I still follow him. I just don't watch his stuff as much. on YouTube. This was in the beginning kind of my spiritual awakening. It was about like a year in, and I loved all of his content. And him and his wife always did retreats, and his wife was having a women's retreat, and she didn't really make content, but they did have a podcast together that I used to listen to a lot. And I was like, okay, this would be so cool. I would love this. And I was like, how am I going to do this? I literally like don't have the money for this. I've never flown across the country by myself. I don't know anyone that's going. I don't really know this woman. This is kind of crazy, but I just had this pull in me that I needed to do this for myself, and that I just had to go. I had to figure it out. So I charged it. Took me a while to pay off. I literally didn't know anyone that was landing at the same time as me. All the girls were flying into Phoenix, because there was like a group chat of some of the girls that were going, and I connected with a couple of them beforehand, but none of us were like really close or knew each other. So I didn't feel any better about like me traveling alone. And one of the biggest things that scared me was to the airport all the way to Sedona was like an hour drive, and I did not want to be in Uber or whatever for an hour by myself. That was like the scariest part. I didn't care so much about the plane. There was a layover in Texas too, which was a little scary, but literally it all worked out beautifully. And my parents were worried, but they were like, you know, do what you got to do. You know, my sister's like, don't drink the Kool-Aid, which I just laugh about, because I'm like, they're not like this. They're not like, just relax. Even though I had no idea who they were really, other than, you know, social media, but I just knew that it was going to be okay. I knew that everything was going to go okay, and it did. It really, really did. I mean, it was so scary. My mom dropped me off at like 6 a.m. by myself. Like, I had only flown once beforehand too. My aunt booked me the flight. I charged everything. I even charged like the room it was like a huge house, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to spend all this money, I'm getting a bed. Like, so because there was like options to sleep on the floor, like with an air mattress, which is honestly kind of insane if you ask me, like, for that to even be an option. But I was like, I'm getting a bed. I don't know who I'm going to room with, whatever, you know, all of the things were coming up. So on top of it, this was me and my boyfriend's like first year together, and it was in October 2019. It was literally like the week of my boyfriend's birthday, the very first birthday I've ever been with him. And I felt terrible about it. Like, it was his birthday, and then like two days later I left. So yeah, there was just a lot of things going on for me to logically be like, why am I doing this? But I needed to. And let me tell you, it was an amazing experience. It was one of the best experiences I've ever done. And I felt so empowered, because I was like, man, I can do this. Like, I had such like a empowered look on life when I came back, because I was like, I just flown across the country, met a bunch of women that I didn't know, but in some way I felt so connected to them in the couple of days that I knew them. It was such a peaceful time, and everything went smoothly. I don't want to dive too much into it, but like, guys, on the way there, I got bumped up to first class. Don't know how. It was a jet, and it wasn't that big of a difference, but it was cool. Got bumped up to first class, and then, like I said, I was worried like there was no one going to meet up with me. When I get like to the next airport in Arizona, I opened up my phone, you know, got service, and someone messaged me and was like, hey, I'm waiting for you. And it was one of the girls. And lo and behold, she actually was related by, I don't know, by marriage to the woman hosting the retreat. So I felt comfortable in that way. So it all just worked out beautifully. I loved my roommate. I still talk to some of the girls. It's crazy that like 2019 was that long ago. I was freshly 22 and it was just amazing. Long story short, I followed my intuition and I didn't know why. I just felt this pull that I needed to go. I needed to do this. And that's what your intuition is. It might be scary, but it's going to lead you into directions that we don't know sometimes for ourselves. That is the right decision or the right direction or whatever, but it's going to work out. And so that's truly the best representation of me using my intuition. But there's also just everyday life things like tapping into, do I want to go on this trip? Do I not want to go on this trip? So we're going to talk about it. Don't you worry. So what your intuition is basically a communication from your soul, and it helps us tap into the flow state. And the flow state is exactly what it sounds like. It's going with the flow. It's not forcing anything, not forcing things that aren't meant to be. It's just being. That's the best place to be in life, is in the flow state, because when we're in the flow state, it's easier to hear that inner knowing and to get downloads and to get clarity on where we want to go. And there's different ways to get into the flow state, and one of them is meditation. But if you're not a meditation girly, that's okay, because I'm really not either. It's not something that I do as much as I should, but there's different ways to get in your flow state. And it's truly just a way of being. It's a state of being, of just, I'm here and I'm open to receiving. I'm not forcing anything. I'm not trying to figure shit out, which is really hard to get into sometimes if you're like me, got a Virgo moon and you're constantly thinking about everything. I get it. And just life in general, whether you have Virgo placements or not. Unfortunately, life is just stressful. Being a human is just stressful. We all know it. We all know it well. Being in your flow state doesn't have to be meditating for, 20 minutes a day. It can be whatever it is that makes you happy. Being creative is a great way to get in your flow state. So if you like to draw, paint, create video games, whatever it is, do it. Whatever gets you out of your head and into your body. So maybe for you, going to the gym is getting you into the flow state. There's different ways that we can talk about later, but I just want to say that it doesn't have to be meditating, even though meditating is a great way to center yourself and get yourself from thinking about everything and hearing that inner voice and that inner knowing. But just doing what you love and having fun with life, that's what being in the flow is. Just living life and just being. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Anything that can get you into the present moment. I love to go on a hike and just look at the trees and just be thankful for how beautiful Mother Nature is. It helps me get clear and just stop thinking about every little stupid thing that goes on in our lives. So that is what being in the flow state is, and basically what your intuition is. It's that flow state that allows you to have the clarity and hear that inner knowing and that inner voice, or that feeling that's telling you to go in a certain direction. So how to know you're tapped into your intuition? You may see signs, you may see birds, you may see numbers, 333, 444. That is, I feel like, early signs to know that you are tapping into your intuition. When I started to get on this spiritual journey and do all the self-development things, numbers was something I became aware of. And truly, I will say this in every single episode. Awareness is key, okay? The more aware you are, the more you're going to be in tune and see things around you that might be working for you and might not be working for you. So another huge sign that you are tapping into your intuition is making decisions is more easier for you. Now, if you're a Libra like me, I know that we are cursed. No, I'm just joking. I know we get the bad rep that we have really difficult times making decisions, but I will say, even though I do struggle still, I know when it's something really big and important, what I should do and what I shouldn't do. It might not be instant because that's not how I am with human design. I'm emotional authority. It takes me a while to make a decision because I need to go through the waves of emotion and feel the ups and the downs of it. And that's how I make decisions. But I know that it's a whole feeling inside of me if I should or should not do something. It feels expansive if I want to do it, and it feels like I'm contracting if I don't want to do it. And that's a huge sign if you want to tap into that feeling and that knowing and see if that works for you. You don't need to feel like the best to be tapped into your intuition as well. I just want to get that out there. You don't have to be this high vibe, happy-go-lucky person. You can still be very, very, very connected while you are down and out, while you are sick, whatever the case is. I just want to make that clear too, because I do feel like there is some stuff that people say on social media that makes it seem like you have to just be this positive person all the time, and that's not true. You can, like I said, be tapped in no matter what. And once you are like just naturally tapped in, it does not matter what type of mood you're in or whatever. I will say that stress and, just really charged emotion will be maybe a little bit more difficult for you to tap in because of, it's hard to be centered and know what is the right choice for you, but you don't have to be happy-go-lucky. Just saying. But you will feel like you know what is coming your way. When I'm really tapped into my intuition, I just feel like something's going to happen. I just feel like something good is coming. And I don't know how to explain that. It's just this knowing that everything's going to be okay. And you'll get those signs, like I said, those affirmations. For some people, that may be pulling some cards or whatever it is, but you will feel like everything's right. And maybe it'll be opposite for you too. If you're in a situation where you feel like this is not okay, this is not right, not aligning with who you are as a person, that's being tapped in too. You knowing what is right for you is being tapped into your intuition 100%. So I also want to give an example of a time that I was not tapped into my intuition, but it was so clear looking back at it that there were so many signs and I was just ignoring it. So I actually talked a little bit about this on my personal TikTok, Madison Ansel. I often reflect on my life before I was aware and tapped into my intuition. And I look back and I just think about all of the things that could have been so much easier for me if I would have known this information and if I would have honored myself and the things that I enjoyed and stopped going against my own knowing and my own higher self telling me to do certain things so I could fit in. I also know that I talked a little bit about this in one of my episodes, but it was me running track. And here's the thing. I didn't hate track. There was a part of me that did like it, but overall I did not like track. I did it because truly everyone else was doing it. And so here is where I went against myself. So track starts in 7th grade. Sports in general start in 7th grade. That's when you can play for the school. So when track came around, at this point, I was just doing cheerleading, and track's a spring sport. So spring comes around and my whole table is talking about them going to track practice. And I literally could feel it in my body. I can still remember the feeling. I was like, no, I don't want it. That sounds terrible. Like my body was like telling me no. Like it made me nervous. My stomach was in knots. I was like, oh, no. But literally my whole table was like, yeah, I'm going to go to track practice. Like I'm going to go, like, it's not open gym, but it's like, you try it out or whatever. And I was like, oh, really? Like, okay. And essentially I did it because everyone else was doing it. I was like, well, maybe it's something I should try. So I do it. And I don't like running. I never have liked running. It's something that I've done because I feel like it's good for your body. But it's not something I had interest in, but I am a very competitive person and there was a part of me that wanted to be good. And I'm not saying I was terrible. Like I was invited to the invitationals. Like I was good for my team, but was I the best? No, I did not have any medals because going against other schools, like, nope. I did not go to finals. A lot of stuff that I personally did, I ran hurdles. I did not go to any finals unless like I was in a relay. But I was like in the relays and all that stuff. And I did try. Whatever I did, I tried to do 100%. I was that kid that stayed after practice. I tried to find coaches that would help me with hurdles. And I really put in my all. I really, really did. I do sometimes think like, man, is it my limiting beliefs and stuff back then that made me never get better? Because I tried harder than anybody else. I put in way more time than anyone else. And I do feel like maybe it was my own stories that I didn't do better. Maybe I didn't feel like I was good enough because I truly put in the time way more than anyone else. And no matter what, I just did not come out on top. And that's a whole different story. But here's the thing. So 8th grade, I start having really bad leg pain. And we had went to like the specialist, everything. It was not shin splints. People were telling me, like the trainers were saying they thought it was compartment syndrome, which is basically when there's like a band around your calves that it just doesn't. Basically, your calves swell and the band like cuts off circulation because it felt like my legs were like swelling. Like I don't know how to explain that. It was just very, very painful. So when I went to the doctors, they did not want to test me for it because I was so young. Because like testing for compartment syndrome is like running or walking on a treadmill and they're poking like needles into your leg. I don't know if it's different now, but when I was, 14, that's what it was. So doctors really couldn't tell me what it was. I was wearing these braces on my legs, kind of like Forrest Gump. And some people called me that. They were air cast on my legs that I would wear. So that was a sign. Okay. That was a sign because this kept going on, right? All the way up through probably my junior year. I think my senior year they eased up, but I had, like I said, very, very severe pain. To the point where I would get my legs taped and my ankles taped. I had bad ankles too. I sprained my ankle in 7th grade, mind you that. But whatever. That could be a sign for sure. But literally all of the years I kept forcing it to happen. I kept pushing through, and I truly feel like the universe was like, stop doing this. You don't like it. There's other things that you rather do, like theater. I loved theater. I talked about this in another episode. I did not do the things that I truly wanted to do and that were in my highest good because for me, I felt like I had to. I already was doing it for so long. I already put in the time. I was hoping to get better, but truly I started off doing it because of everybody else. And the first sign was that whole body feeling of, I don't want to do this. literally, I never got answers. I think one doctor told me that it was like a stress fracture. And so I think that's where we concluded to. The one time I was going to get answers, my insurance denied the MRI. So just like I said, it was terrible, like truly terrible. Sometimes I would go over to practice. I would run over one hurdle, and hurdles were probably the worst thing for me to do because of all the pounding. I'd run over one hurdle and it was like the feeling in my legs, it felt like they were just swelling. Like it was so hard for me to even walk back to my car because there were times like I'd run over a few hurdles. My coach would be like, okay, just stop. And literally I'd just be in tears. It was so fucking painful. And here's the crazy part. This was the only sport that did this to me. Okay. I played tennis. I danced. I was on the dance team. I also took like 4 dance classes at my local dance studio. The only time I ever felt pain at dance was during track season. Literally no other sport did this or made me feel this type of way. So if that's not a huge sign in itself, tennis literally is a sport where you're like constantly like stopping, turning, like it's kind of hard on your body a little bit too, because you're running over there, then you're, backing up, and then you're stopping and you're running back over there. Like it is kind of hard on your legs, and you're on cement on top of that. So it's just crazy to me. That literally was the only sport that happened. Dance didn't happen. I even played basketball my 8th grade year and like going into 9th grade. Nothing. It was just track. And here's the crazy part. Once again, another sign I ignored. My senior year, I was going to quit. I wasn't going to do it my senior year. Mostly for my mental health. I did not want to do one more thing. I wanted to take stuff off my plate. And I felt so at peace about my decision. I felt good. Yes, it was difficult because I was like, man, who quits their senior year? But I felt so peaceful about it. I didn't go to like the first couple practices, and then my coach found me and she talked me into it. And I didn't really tell her exactly why, like, hey, like I'm really fucking struggling mentally. Like I just like fuck off. I did say about my legs, and she's like, we'll help you. Da, da, da. So I ended up doing it, and guess what? I hit so many fucking hurdles that year. Not gonna lie. Like that's the other crazy part. It was like the more I got in my head and shit, I hit so many. You know how many times I went down? I went down a lot. Trust me, the boys would make fun of me. I would fuck my shit up hitting those fucking hurdles. Anyways, the one sign that I felt at peace about the decision I was not going to run track, and I ended up actually quitting, like, which was kind of shitty of me. I quit like when we were going to regionals, but I wasn't good enough to like go on with regionals or districts. So it is what it is. But that was just a huge sign for me that like, holy shit, it was in my face. I just didn't know. Here's the thing. I did know. I just wasn't tapped in enough to be like aware that it was bigger than what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like the signs were there, but I just kept pushing up against it. And I didn't have the knowledge that I have now that life can be easier if you just do what makes you happy and follow your heart. That's your intuition, and that's where like the path is going to be for you. It's going to be lit up. You just have to see it. You just have to go down it. Like it's truly that simple. Like the signs were there for me. They truly were. Like I was aware that, man, maybe I shouldn't do track, like my legs. I didn't really want to do it. But I just wasn't aware that those were signs. I wasn't aware that my life could be easier. So that's just a little example of something so simple, but like looking back now, it was so obvious. Like those were huge fucking signs. And year after year after year, like I just didn't get it. And the whole, like, it didn't happen with any other sport. I just didn't connect the dots is what I'm saying. I didn't realize it was the universe trying to get me to go somewhere else, because truly I didn't fucking like it. And that's why I will always push. Do what makes you fucking happy. Stop doing some shit that you feel like you should do, or, you know, whatever the bullshit is. You want to fit in. You're doing it because everyone else is doing it. That's the hugest red flag. Don't waste your fucking time. You could be flourishing in a different area in your life if you just stop doing the shit you don't want to do. It's truly that fucking simple. I'm sorry, but I'm so passionate about it because I've lived so long doing shit that did not make me fucking happy. For what reason? I don't know. Probably to prove to my ego that, hey, we're just gonna push up against this and do it anyways, because that's just life, you know? Life's hard, but if you keep trying, you can do it. And you know what? That's sometimes the case, but not always the case. Sometimes if it's fucking hard and you keep pushing up against it, it's hard for a reason, because you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be doing something completely different, and you're just not listening to yourself. First of all, I mean, the universe will give you signs and reflect back to how you feel on the inside. That's the kicker. Like, the universe was just reflecting my own self. I would dread track season. Literally, like, I never understood the girls that would get so fucking excited. Oh my God, it's almost track. Like, never. I was never that girl. Truly, thinking about track practice and track season made me want to shit my pants. And I know that's a bit much, but that is the best example of how I felt. Like, truly, it made my stomach into knots. I was not that girl that was like, yeah, we just beat our PR. I didn't give a fuck. Yes, there was times that I was like, hell yeah, I beat my PR. Yeah, that was cool. Like, it was a love, like, not a love hate. I liked almost the feeling of torturing myself, because afterwards, you know, you do feel accomplished. That adrenaline, it is a very adrenaline sport. Fucking hearing a little gun go off and you just gotta fucking bolt. God, talk about fight or flight. Jesus. Maybe I have more trauma than I realized. Seriously though, I mean, track is a very intense sport, and anyone that says it's not a sport, fuck them, because that shit's intense. Anyways, this is not about track. But I just want to, like, get very clear that that is something that I went against myself, knowing that I did not like running track, knowing that I hated the feeling that it made me feel every time it came around. Yes, there were some, like, positive aspects of it. Like I said, I am competitive, and I think a part of me convinced myself that I did like it. And I did like the feeling of, like, running relays. Like, relays weren't that bad, because I didn't feel like I was going to shit myself afterwards, because I did 100s. I did 100-meter relays. But, like, when we'd have to do 400 relays, oh my God. Or, like, one time I was putting an 800 relay. That feeling is not a feeling that I want to feel. It's just not. I mean, I'm competitive, but not that competitive. I don't want to feel like I'm dying afterwards. So anyways, enough about track. That was just a really big realization that I came across the other day when I was thinking back and realizing, like, wow, there were so many signs and I ignored them. So always follow your heart. Always follow those feelings that you have. They are there for a reason. And leading into what I always talk about is following your heart. Your heart will always be your intuition. Your heart will always tell you what you should and should not do. It's hard to hear it sometimes, but that feeling that lights you up and makes you excited is your intuition. If you aren't excited about something, don't fucking do it. I know it's easier said than done. I know I'm, like, being very kind of cutthroat about it. But truly, just know that feeling inside of you that is pulling you in a direction is there for a reason. And if it's not lighting you up and making you feel good, just save yourself the hassle. Don't be like me. Don't do things for 4 years and ignore all the signs. It will make your life so much easier and it'll get you to where you want to go quicker. I know it's not that simple all the time. I know that there are outside circumstances sometimes weighing in on the decisions we make, but just do what makes you happy. And when you start to align yourself in that life of doing the things that make you happy and following your heart, that's when your intuition is going to grow so much more. And to quickly go over some things that I know I already touched on, but how to better tap into your intuition is to eliminate any stress in your life. And I know that's difficult because sometimes those things aren't in our control, but whatever is in our control, just try to eliminate that as much as you can. Whether that's just deleting some people off social media, or maybe putting your phone down for an hour or two. Whatever it is for you, it doesn't have to be so big, like cutting out your stressful job. I'm not promoting any of that. I'm just saying try to eliminate that stress as much as you can, because the stress that we have in our life sometimes distracts us from the things that we're supposed to do. And that stress is usually an indicator that something's off. Something is not in alignment with us. There may be something we need to let go of. And like I said, I know that's not easy to do all the time, but the stress is going to make it harder for us to get quiet and to hear the signs and the synchronicities and, whatever it is to you. You can hear signs, by the way. I just want to say that. Sometimes a song coming on the radio, that's a sign for you. So eliminate stress if you can, but become aware of where you're at in your life right now. That is the key. It always will be the key to become aware of your surroundings. Become aware of your situation in your life. How did you get there? Why? Why do you feel the way you do? Who's influencing you right now? Who's around you? Just get really clear about where you're at in your life and how you got there. Don't have any judgment toward yourself. Just accept that, okay, this is how I got here, and start making changes that can better your life and get you to where you want to go. Either it's a small change or a big change, just little things that you can do to help get you in alignment with where you want to go. Because when you start to tap in to your heart, and when you continue to do the things that make you happy and do the things that your heart is trying to get you to do, that's going to keep propelling you forward, and your intuition is going to grow stronger and stronger because of that. And once you are on that path, it gets so much easier. Decisions get so much easier to make because when you're on that path, you're coming from a place of love and neutrality and clarity, rather than coming from a place of fear and stress. It's a whole different life when you start to make decisions from a neutral place rather than a place of fear. Like, I have to do this, or I should do this, or so-and-so is telling me to do this. When you make the decision for yourself because you know deep down it's like what you're meant to do, that's when like the intuition will become so much stronger. So before you make a huge decision in your life, take some time. Take some time to sit with it. Does it feel good to you? Does it make you feel expansive, or does it make you feel contracted and just feels like something's sitting on your chest? Is it exciting to you? Those are decisions that are going to work out the best for you, is when you take time to actually think about them. And if they align with your future. And when you start to make decisions, whether it's a small one or a big one, that are in alignment with you, your intuition is just going to build upon each one that you make. So physical things you can do to tap into your intuition is obviously doing anything that's going to help neutralize you. So there's different things like EFT and tapping and breath work and meditation. But it can also be as simple as going for a walk or exercising, quieting the mind in any way that's, helpful for you. So if it's taking a bath or going for a walk in nature, hiking, eating right, I think plays into it as well. Just because I feel that food does play into our moods. I feel like when we're eating really crappy, we just want to lay down and like watch TV or sleep. And I feel like when we eat foods that fuel us, it's easier for us to just feel better about ourselves and feel better about doing the things like exercising and doing the things that take care of us. I just feel like it helps us in that way. Avoid alcohol and, constantly numbing yourself in that way. I feel like if you're constantly doing that, it's going to be so hard to know what it is that your intuition's trying to tell you. As someone who used to party a lot, I definitely was getting, that intuition, but it was not very strong. And unfortunately, my signs came in a different way. In a way that was like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Definitely more intense ways. Not really funny, not funny at all. But I'm not saying you can't get signs, but if you're constantly like numbing yourself out, you're not even in a place to receive any type of intuitive download, in my opinion. It's one thing to not be in a place of neutrality, but on top of it, you're not even sober. So you're not even in like a normal state. So yeah, I would avoid, I'm not saying never drink. That's not, I drink still. But if you're constantly doing it, if you drink every day, that's going to be difficult, to have that space of just really being with yourself. And that's truly what building your intuition is being with yourself, being comfortable, being uncomfortable with the feelings that come up for you and dealing with it no matter what. Like, that's when I feel your intuition grows, is when you can sit with yourself and go through all of the emotions, all the feelings, accept them for what they are, and to make a decision on where you should go based on what lights you up and what makes you feel good and what's going to be the best outcome for you. Your intuition's going to let you know through that gut feeling or that excitement or just that pull. It's very subtle. So when you are constantly numbing yourself or avoiding yourself, it's going to be hard to, know what to do because they are subtle signs. It can be as simple as, like I said, just knowing. And although, like I said, with my track example, they were very subtle and I remember those signs, but they were so subtle that I wasn't aware enough to know that they were bigger than what they were. And that's what the intuition is it's subtle, it's very gradual, and sometimes it's not straight in our face all the time and obvious, but it's enough to be very, very impactful for our lives. It's just that gut feeling like, I don't know why I should do this, but I'm going to do this. And it's hard to be in that state when you're constantly avoiding being with yourself and being neutral and taking care of yourself. That's when I truly feel like your intuition is the strongest and the easiest to have access to is when you are doing those things. So another thing that you can do is get into crystals. You can do little tests. Like there are intuition tests. Like I know on TikTok, they'll be like, okay, I have 2 crystals in my hands. Which one is it? You can do things like that. There are crystals that help you with your intuition and things like that. If you're into that, sometimes pulling cards can help affirm our intuition. I feel like that really helped me when I was, starting all of this, when I'd pull cards and I'd get exactly like the things I needed to help affirm, like, wow, I'm spot on. Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, or okay, how I'm feeling on the inside is what the cards are showing me. So that's something that you could get into. Always do that stuff with caution. Like I just firmly believe that you should do everything with caution. Don't always take everyone's advice. Do your own research about things and just make sure you do protection and stuff like that if you're getting into any of that type of stuff. So I want to quickly add a tool that I completely forgot about that is so helpful when learning how to tap into your intuition is a pendulum. I have it here dangling if you guys aren't watching the video, but a pendulum can help you so much when you're just trying to tap into yourself. And if you don't know what a pendulum is, I do have a whole video on my personal YouTube channel, Madison Ansel, about how to work with them and all of that stuff. So it's basically just a weighted, you can use like a necklace or whatever. There's actual crystals. Like this one is a rhodonite with resin crystal. And you can just ask it, show me yes, show me no. So it helps you tap into your subconscious mind, because essentially it is your like brain making it move. Like I don't know how to explain this, but it does actually like help you know what you truly want to do. If you have a hard time making decisions, I have used this and I still use it. I use everything. Like I'll use my keys. If I'm at the store, I know this is so bad. I'm good at making bigger decisions, but when it comes to little things, like I am a Libra sun, I just think like every situation, and I think too much. Okay. I think entirely too much. So I'll use my keys if I'm like at the store. I'm like, should I buy this? Should I not? I know I'm terrible. I'm absolutely terrible. Don't take after me. Anyways, if you just like are having a hard time knowing yourself and feeling that contracted feeling or that expansive feeling that I talk about that you will feel in your body when it comes to making a decision, it will tell you what you truly want. So for example, there was like this trip my family was going on and I didn't necessarily want to go, but I have very, very bad FOMO. I still suffer with that. I just don't like being left out. What if it was a great time, but my whole body felt like I was contracting, like I did not want to do it. And my pendulum kept telling me, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do it. So you can also use it to communicate with your guides. And there's so many other things that you can do, like spiritual wise. Like I said, make sure that you're doing your research and being having protection around you and making sure that you're communicating with your spirit guides and stuff. But I go more into detail on my YouTube channel in the video, how you can like make sure that the decision is coming from like your guide. Like I always ask, can I get an unbiased answer? Because if you're just asking like, should I do something, and your mind changes, like if you decide like, oh, I actually want to go on that trip, it's going to tell you yes. But if you're saying, should I go? Like, it's just going to tell you what you already know. Like you just you're not aware enough to, here's the thing, you are aware enough. It's just, if you struggle with decisions, you just are thinking entirely too much. It's like cutthroat. Here's your answer. This is what you want. But if you change that answer, it's going to change your, the response of the pendulum. Hopefully that's making sense. I don't want to keep rambling about it, but I did want to include it because it is really, really important. And I think helped me so much someone gave mine to me when the very first psychic I ever saw. She made pendulums, like with keychain pendulums, but she had only made one. So like after you were done seeing her, she made keychains and little trinkets, and she was like, you can take a couple things, and she was like, this is a pendulum, and I still have it. It has like chakra beads on it, and I still use it to this day. I absolutely love it. And I think that really helped me a lot. Like it made me just tap into myself more and know what I truly want, because sometimes, we say things like, oh yeah, sure, but it's not what we want truly. So if you have a hard time tapping into your heart and tapping into knowing the different feelings of like being expansive or contracted, that will help you 100%. So I have some on my website if you're interested, lotusmebloom.com. But I just wanted to quickly go over that, make sure I did not forget it, because it is very important. I think if you are into, the tools that, like I said, crystals and all that stuff can help you a lot. So wanted to make sure that I included that in there. Something you can do that I did a lot in my early journey is to ask for signs. Ask for signs from the universe. Ask God, hey, if I should do this, show me a red bird. If I shouldn't, show me a blue bird. You can ask for signs no matter where you're at on your journey, but I don't need them as much anymore because I am very in tune with myself. But that is something that you can do, especially, like I said, if you are new and you don't know how to strengthen your intuition. Because when you especially see a sign that you already kind of knew was the answer, and the universe affirms that's the answer, it just, I don't know, makes you feel like way more empowered. So you will start to see that too. If you're doing it a lot, you might get the sign you were asking for after you made the decision. And it usually is the sign that correlates with the decision that you made. So just letting you know, you can't exhaust those things. But doing things that you enjoy, having fun, creating things is literally the fast track to building your intuition. It helps you get into the flow state. It helps you get in the state of being. And it's truly one of the most powerful things you can do. So if you are into creating anything, it doesn't have to be like artsy, whatever. You want to create a business? Cool. Whatever it is, creation helps so much. And doing those things that make you happy and having fun gets you into the flow state. And traveling is a great way to get you tapped into your intuition, because I've talked about it a little bit. Traveling and going different places have different vibrations, and it can help you change the state of your mind and tap into those higher frequencies. And when you are doing those things that do lift you up and you are raising your vibration, I know that's very cliche in the spiritual community, but when you're doing those high vibrational things, you're doing the things that make you feel good, you're doing the things that light you up, that's when it's easier to tap into your intuition. It's truly simple. And the biggest one that I'm going to touch on again is becoming aware. When you become aware, it's so much easier because you are aware of how you got here, how a certain situation happened, and you just start to take accountability. And also, it's more easier to know, okay, what can I do different? And you will know. It's that simple. It's a body feeling. It's a pull. It's a nudge. It's maybe something very specific that you hear on the radio, or, there's things that will align. If you want to know something, you will find out about it. If you put the intentions out there into the universe, you will find whatever it is that you're looking for. This happens to me all the time. I just made a TikTok on it not too long ago. I was talking about how I wanted to learn more about masculine and feminine wounding. And I've been wanting to learn more about it for a while. And coincidentally, someone that I follow, and I've been following for a really long time, has a whole podcast episode about it. I didn't know they even had a podcast, and I listened to it, and it was literally like everything that I've been searching for. Those things will find you. You just have to put the intentions out there. So if you have an intention that I want to have a better relationship with myself and build my intuition, it will happen. And if you want, to learn a certain thing, it will align for you. It will pop up on your For You page. It will pop up somewhere. Like, it will be there for you. So becoming aware is great also to just be aware of the signs. Because sometimes when we ask for signs, we're not aware enough to even see them. Sometimes I'll ask for something and I probably saw it and I didn't even know. So that's why being aware is so important and truly is the key to everything. It really is. Because when you're aware enough, you can unlock different parts of your subconscious. You can heal so much quicker because you're aware that, hey, I think this is happening because of a different time in my life that this happened and it's showing up again. So let me deal with it. I don't want to ramble anymore. I know that this is a longer episode. I'm very passionate about this, and I'm going over it again in my own things that I do for myself. And like I said, I was thinking about just times in my life where my life could have been so much easier if I would have just listened to the signs and stopped ignoring them. And it's just crazy how it is so subtle, but it's so powerful. It's so, so powerful. So do what makes you happy. Follow your heart always. I'm going to end this episode. I could keep going about so many different things, but I think the point was made. So if you guys want to follow me on other socials, Lotus Me Bloom is my business page. LotusMeBloom.com is where you can buy intention setting candles and crystals. There's crystals for intuition if you're into that. It's also my business page. So if you go on Lotus Me Bloom Instagram, it's going to be my candles and my crystals and snippets of the podcast. But if you want to follow me personally at Madison Ansel, I do lifestyle content and just really whatever. So you can find me. I'm active on TikTok and YouTube. Trying to post more on YouTube, of course. But I'm just trying to focus on this podcast right now because it's just what's lighting me up and what's making me happy. And so that's me following my intuition. I would love if you guys could leave a review on Apple. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and leave a comment down below about what you loved about today's episode, what you want to see in the next episode. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.